Welcome back, everyone, to the Daily News Roundup. We've got a lot to cover today, so let's get right to it.
Sounds good to me.
All right, well, we're going to kick things off with a story about President Trump. A federal judge has temporarily blocked his order to freeze billions of dollars in federal grants and loans.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of organizations that were really depending on those funds. Nonprofits, research institutions.
Right, and they're saying that it's illegal to freeze those funds.
I mean, they were already approved, right?
Exactly. But of course, the White House is saying this is about cutting back on what they're calling woke spending.
Interesting.
So for now, there's a temporary stay from the judge, Judge Lauren Ellicott.
Okay.
But this is just the first step. There's going to be a hearing next Monday to decide what happens next.
Yeah, this is definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Now, switching gears a bit, have you been following this whole DeepSeek situation?
Oh, yeah. That Chinese AI app.
Exactly.
It's really been shaking things up in the tech world.
It has, especially for companies like NVIDIA. They saw their stock price drop pretty significantly on Monday.
Yeah. And President Trump even called it a wake-up call.
He did, though he also said it could end up being good for the U.S. in the long run.
Right. But what do you think about this whole thing?
Well, I mean, it definitely raises some important questions.
Yeah.
Like, is this a sign of a tech bubble, or is this a sign that the U.S. is losing its edge in AI?
And what about the everyday user? I mean, DeepSeek is saying that cheaper AI is better for everyone.
Sure, but we also have to think about data privacy and the ethical implications of AI.
All very valid points. All right, let's move on to a story out of Italy now, where Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is finding herself in a bit of a tricky situation. She's currently under investigation for her alleged role in the release of a Libyan war crime suspect who was wanted by the International Criminal Court.
Wow. The ICC?
Yeah.
So Italy just let this guy go?
Well, they said it was due to a legal technicality, but the ICC is not happy about it at all.
I bet not.
They've already issued a new arrest warrant.
And they want some answers.
Exactly. And to make matters even more complicated, Meloni and several members of her cabinet are also suspected of embezzlement and aiding a crime.
Wow, this is turning into a real international incident.
It is. Now, on a slightly less dramatic note, but still pretty concerning, the Doomsday Clock has moved even closer to midnight.
Oh, no.
89 seconds to be exact.
The closest it's ever been.
I know, it's kind of scary to think about.
It is. And it's not just about nuclear war anymore. It's also about climate change, the misuse of AI and biotechnologies, and even the spread of disinformation.
Yeah, they really are taking everything into account now.
They are. And with the war in Ukraine still going on, it's no wonder they're so worried.
It's definitely a lot to think about. But let's try to end on a more positive note. Have you heard about the renovations happening at the Louvre?
Oh, yeah. They're finally doing something about those insane crowds around the Mona Lisa.
It's about time.
I know.
They're even building a new entrance to the museum.
I wonder if that means ticket prices are going up, especially for tourists.
All right, let's get back to international news. President Trump has expressed interest in acquiring Greenland again, and Denmark is not happy about it.
Again, I thought we were past this.
Apparently not.
Well, Denmark's not taking it lying down this time. Their Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, has been meeting with leaders all over Europe, trying to get their support.
So it sounds like they're taking this pretty seriously.
They are. And speaking of serious matters, there's been some news about Roman Abramovich.
Oh, yeah, the Russian oligarch.
That's the one. Leaked documents suggest that he might have been using some shady tactics to avoid paying taxes on his yachts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, apparently he was leasing them to himself through companies in Cyprus and the British Virgin Islands.
So basically trying to trick the tax authorities.
Pretty much.
Not a good look.
Especially with all the scrutiny he's already under for his ties to Putin.
Well, on a related note, Benjamin Netanyahu have been invited to the White House next week.
Interesting. This is right after the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. So maybe they're trying to solidify that agreement.
Maybe, but I have a feeling there's more to it than that.
Yeah, you're probably right.
What do you think about Trump's suggestion that Egypt and Jordan should absorb the Palestinian refugees from Gaza?
Well, it's definitely a controversial idea, and both Egypt and Jordan have already rejected it.
Yeah, doesn't seem like a very realistic solution.
No. But the situation in Gaza is dire, and finding a solution that works for everyone is going to be incredibly difficult.
All right. We're going to take a quick break here, but we'll be back with more news after the break.
And we're back with more news from around the globe. It looks like things are heating up in Serbia.
Yeah, there have been protests going on there for months.
And now Prime Minister Milos Vučević has resigned.
That's right. It all started with that tragic railway station collapse a few months ago. 15 people were killed.
It was a terrible tragedy, and it really brought to light the government's failures when it comes to safety and accountability.
Yeah, people were already frustrated with corruption.
Yeah.
And this incident was just the tipping point.
And those student-led protests, they really made a statement.
They did. So now Vučević is out. But it remains to be seen whether this will actually lead to any real change.
Right. President Alexander Vučić could call for new elections. Or he could try to form a new government.
Either way, it's a pivotal moment for Serbia.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears and talk about something a little lighter. There was a fire on an Air Busan plane in South Korea earlier today.
Oh, wow. Was anyone hurt?
Thankfully, everyone managed to evacuate safely,
That's good to hear.
but it's still a pretty scary incident.
Especially after that fatal plane crash in South Korea just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, people are definitely on edge about air safety right now.
Understandably so. I wonder what caused the fire.
They're still investigating,
Yeah.
but it looks like it started in the tail of the plane.
It's not good.
All right. Let's move on to a story about Selena Gomez.
Oh, what did she do?
Well, she posted a video online about the deportation of undocumented migrants, and she got a lot of backlash for it.
Really?
Yeah, especially from Tom Homan,
Trump's border czar.
the one and only.
So what did he say?
Well, he basically told her to stay in her lane.
Wow. That's harsh.
It is. But it just goes to show how divisive this issue is.
Yeah. Immigration is always a hot-button topic.
Speaking of hot-button topics, there was a diplomatic row between Colombia and the U.S. over migrant deportations.
Oh, really?
Yeah, President Petro was refusing to allow U.S. military planes carrying deportees to land in Colombia.
Why was that?
He was concerned about the treatment of the deportees.
What do you mean?
Well, there have been reports of them being shackled and restrained during the flights.
Oh, wow. That's terrible.
It is. And Petro wasn't having it.
So what happened?
Well, Trump threatened to impose tariffs on Colombian goods.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, things were getting pretty heated.
So how did they resolve it?
They reached a compromise. Colombia agreed to send its own planes to retrieve the migrants.
So they're still being deported, but at least they'll be treated humanely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to Gaza for a moment. The situation there is still incredibly difficult.
Especially for the people who are trying to return to their homes in the north.
The destruction is just unimaginable.
The UN estimates that 70% of the buildings in Gaza have been damaged or destroyed.
It's a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions.
And it's going to take years to rebuild.
The international community needs to step up and provide support.
Absolutely. This is a major challenge, and it's not going to go away anytime soon.
Now let's talk about something a little more hopeful. The success of DeepSeek has really shown the world that China is a force to be reckoned with in the AI field.
It has, and it's interesting to think about what this means for the future of AI.
Yeah, it's not just about China versus the US anymore.
Right. DeepSeek's focus on open source technology and affordability could really democratize AI.
Exactly. It could make these powerful tools available to a much wider range of people and organizations.
Imagine what smaller companies and research institutions could do with that kind of access.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities.
It is, but we also have to be mindful of the risks.
Absolutely. AI is a powerful technology, and it needs to be developed responsibly.
We need to be having conversations about ethical guidelines and safeguards to make sure that AI is used for good.
Well said. Now, on a more somber note, there's been another tragic incident in Ukraine.
Oh no, what happened?
A Russian attack in Zaporizhia killed 3 generations of a family.
Oh, that's awful.
A 17-month-old boy, his mother, and his great-grandmother.
That's heartbreaking.
It really puts things into perspective.
It does. It's easy to get caught up in the politics of this conflict. But we can't forget that real people are dying.
And that families are being torn apart.
We have to keep talking about what's happening in Ukraine, and we have to keep supporting the people who are suffering.
Agreed. But even amidst the tragedy, there are still stories of hope and resilience emerging from Ukraine.
Yeah, people are coming together to support each other, and they're determined to rebuild their lives.
It's inspiring to see their strength in the face of such adversity.
Yeah, it really is amazing to see how people are able to find strength in the face of such tragedy.
It is. And speaking of remarkable achievements, let's go back to the story about DeepSeek for a moment.
Oh, yeah. The Chinese AI company that's been making headlines.
Exactly. Their success is a testament to innovation and a reminder that we're living in a rapidly changing world.
It's true. They were able to develop a cutting-edge AI model, despite facing all sorts of obstacles.
Like the restrictions on accessing advanced chips from the U.S.
Exactly. But they didn't let that stop them.
Nope. They found a way to work around those restrictions,
Oh.
and they came up with a solution that's both innovative and affordable.
And that's what's so remarkable about DeepSeek. They're not just pushing the boundaries of technology, they're also making it more accessible.
Which could have huge implications for the future of AI.
Absolutely. This could be a game changer for industries all over the world.
And it's a sign that the global balance of power is shifting.
No doubt about it. The U.S. is no longer the only player in the AI game.
And DeepSeek's success is a wake-up call for the rest of the world.
It's a reminder that we need to be investing in innovation. And we need to be prepared for a future where AI plays an even bigger role.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up today's show.
Sounds good to me.
It's been a whirlwind of news, from political scandals to technological breakthroughs, and everything in between.
It's certainly been a busy day.
But we hope you found it informative, and maybe even a little bit inspiring.
It's important to stay informed about what's happening in the world, and it's important to engage in these conversations.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for another Daily News Roundup.